Hello all, it's James Johnson, aka Sulfur Blade. Welcome back to my channel, welcome back to my content, and welcome to a brand new game, Terra Invicta. So, Terra Invicta has recently had a major update. Largest update that it's had, supposedly, since the game first came out on Steam. I quite like this game. Though this game is not for all. It's a my friends like to call it a spreadsheet simulator type game, similar to games such as Crusader Kings or Victoria 3 or other such games, which are a bit more on the UI and a bit less on the action. This game is a lot like that. It's looks overwhelming, but if you understand what you're doing, it's not as bad as it looks. So with that being said, we're going to jump into a new game, and we're going to see how things play out. So we're going to go with the modern scenario, full solar system, all 8 factions. I don't like playing as the Resistance, sorry. So the Resistance in this game is kind of like XCOM? Yeah, I think that would be an adequate descriptor. So they're fighting to kill the aliens, first and foremost. Then you have Humanity First, which has similar goals to the Resistance, except they're about humanity first, where the Resistance is more about destroying the aliens. Humanity First is more about humanity first and then destroy the aliens. Then you have the Initiative, which is who I like to play as. You can think of them as kind of the, I don't know, probably the most generalized way of looking at them would be the Illuminati. They're your influential businessmen who are trying to, for lack of a better word, profit off of the alien invasion. They're certainly not necessarily aligned with the aliens. They're not necessarily aligned against the aliens. They're aligned against the aliens when it comes to it affecting their bottom line, their profits. So, and aliens generally aren't good for profits. So in many ways they tend to align more with Humanity First and the Resistance than some of the other factions, because the Initiative tends to go a little bit more offensively versus the aliens than, say, the Servants, who are exactly what it sounds like. They are like crazy cultist humans that have decided to serve the aliens. Not interested in being a faction that serves the aliens. You have the Protectorate, which believes in protecting humanity by bending the knee to the aliens. They basically are like, the aliens are too strong for us to fight, so we give up. Please be merciful overlords and let us live underneath your benevolent alien leadership. That's what the Protectorate is about. It's about forcing humanity to fall in line and serve the aliens just to keep us from being destroyed. The Academy is your scientists. They're about figuring out how to deal with the aliens from a scientific standpoint. And Project Exodus, which is a pretty unique faction, is about, oh my god, aliens have come to Earth, let's get the hell out of here. They're about beating feet and exiting stage right. They want to generate a space program so that they can load up as many human beings onto spaceships as possible and get off of Earth and run somewhere where it's safe, where the aliens are not. So these are your factions that you have to choose from. I'm most interested in the initiative because I feel like they give you the most flexibility to go in various different ways. A lot of the other factions are kind of very streamlined, very pointed in who they are, and not a lot of flexibility to adapt in various different ways. So I like the initiative. We're just going to go with normal difficulty, and I'm going to start a long campaign. Ooh, I might have wanted to do a custom start. Yeah, I should have done a custom start. Okay, so this is going to take a little bit because we're generating the game from scratch based off of the settings I chose. There's a lot of regions and things that are going to be assigned preferences, if you will. So the whole world is made up of states and countries, and all these states and countries have different natural tendencies on these organizations and how they think of these organizations. So in this pre-generation of the world, we're going to find that there's some countries that will start off from the start being more aligned
we remember the day
with
the stars answered,
my faction
the day we learned we
or
were not
other
alone.
factions.
As a familiar sun rose on an unfamiliar universe, some of us saw wondrous possibility and others existential danger. The astronomers had insisted that the bright streak in the sky was no natural phenomenon. Most of us didn't really believe them until it burned through our atmosphere and crashed in a remote region, leaving only wreckage and uncertainty. In our ignorance, we fractured, taking refuge in our most primal emotions. Each of us saw what we wanted to see. Survival of the fittest has always been the game. Whether you're beating your enemy with a rock or a lawsuit, you have to be vicious to be the top dog. Because when you've worked for everything, and you've fought for all you have, nothing will satisfy you, except everything.
So there we saw the all-seeing eye that kind of is the faction symbol of my faction. So every game starts like this. The UFO crashes on Earth somewhere. In this particular generation of the game, it has crashed in Mashhad in Iran. So the game is going to want us to investigate the crash site with one of our two counselors that we start at. The reason that I kind of wanted to do a custom start was just so that I could have a little more control into the counselors I start with, because I'm an American and I live in the United States. The game knows I'm an American. It's figured it out off of where the game was bought at, what my IP is, yada yada, and it knows I'm American, and so therefore it automatically gives me an American counselor, which generally isn't bad. Counselors tend to have benefits in their own nations, so, and the USA, as you would imagine, is a pretty powerful nation to be able to control. It can give you a lot of benefits in this game. At the same time, it's kind of easy mode, and I don't tend to like to play easy mode in games. I like to try to find other non-standard ways of going about doing things. So oftentimes I don't go after the US just because it can be so easy to do and so easy to control the game by controlling the US. So for me, having a US counselor off the start isn't necessarily that big of a benefit for me, because I tend not to go after the USA, so that's a country... That's a counselor country that doesn't necessarily benefit me that much. Now, okay, UFOs have crashed on Earth. An alien vessel has crashed down in Iran.
Welcome, boss. The Council has appointed you leader of our organization. I am Soren van Wyk, your Chief Operating Officer. We're living in a time of great change. The alien arrival will transform our world, possibly beyond recognition, and we must be positioned to respond appropriately to whatever opportunities may occur.
So this guy here is kind of like the face of the initiative. Obviously, you, the player, are the face of the initiative. You're the actual controller of the initiative. But the game, but everybody is a different person, and so the game has a lieutenant like Soren van Wyk here, who is kind of like the face of the initiative for story portions of the game. And then the Resistance has a version of him, and all the other factions have a version of this guy. And as we play on and we encounter some of the other factions, we're going to meet some of these lieutenants that are kind of the outward facing face of these factions. Okay, new objectives: investigate alien crash. So the game wants us to start off with investigating the alien crash. So we're gonna go ahead and do that just because. So crashed in Iran. Iran is right in this area here. So this is probably the crash site here. Alright, so Steve Vivez is our counselor who has, I'm sorry, down here is the I wish this would stay up the way it is. Anyway, these are the various missions right now that Steve is capable of doing. He's capable of doing Control Nation. He's capable of doing Stabilize Nation. He's capable of surveilling locations, going to ground, and investigating alien activity. He is a diplomat, and sadly I'm going to have to use him to investigate alien activity here. I'd like to use him for other purposes, but for now that's what we're going to have him do.
We'll recon the site.
At your service.
So our other guy is a tech mogul. Thankfully he started off with 6 science. Oftentimes when you start off you'll end up with counselors that have no science, but luckily enough for us we have started with a counselor that has some science. That isn't that important at this point in time. It's just going to mean that initially out of the start of the gate I'm going to be generating a little bit more science than I would have had I had counselors with no science. So with that being said, I want to go to the counselor tab, if I can remember how to play this game. Here we are. And we start off with 50 influence. Actually, before we get to that, I just want to see a little bit about who are the counselors we've started with. So Steve here is not a very interesting counselor, actually, which isn't necessarily bad. So he hasn't started with a lot of traits. You can get a whole slew of traits that counselors start with, and some of them can be good, some of them can be bad. Steve has started with a government trait, which means that he's able to grants access to organizations that are related to government. So Anyway, government-related organizations that require the government trait, Steve will be able to utilize. And aware, particularly skilled at detecting other counselors, +1 to investigation when detecting other counselors. So that's here and there. So he's got 6 espionage. He's got 7 persuasion though. I don't know what we're going to do with Steve going forward. Early game, we tend to utilize persuasion and controlling nations. Trying to get the nations controlled in the early game usually revolves most around persuasion. So probably we're going to be using that diplomat function, his persuasion function, most here in the beginning. However, if we're going to end up converting him into a kind of an espionage character, we could down the road. I don't know. But he's a pretty bland milquetoast character. Nothing bad to see here. Here we have Prosperous, which is going to generate us 3 extra mana up here. There's various different manas. This one's money, this one's influence, this one's operations, which is your ability to do like little combat missions. This is boost, which has nothing to do with the counselors really, or could if you have an organization that supplies boost. Boost is more your ability to get spaceships into outer space, and generally that's more of a resource that gets supplied by various countries that you could be in control of. This here is mission control. Currently we're able to control 2 habitats based off of the amount of mission control we have. Going forward, we'll be able to expand upon that. Here is our research that we're creating, and a lot of that is based off of the 6 science here that our tech mogul has, is going to affect a lot of how much research that we're generating. So we can be sort of thankful for him. So with that being said, we have these organizations, and we have 200 money that we're starting off with. Some of these organizations might be worth picking up in the beginning. Calendula Products is going to generate 21 income and is going to give us 3% economy. So it's going to pay off its $100 price tag rather quickly. This guy here, monthly income +2 influence +1 that's giving us extra. Okay, and then here we have monthly income -3 and +1. So we're spending 3 money to get a +1 to influence. Of these initial ones, this one for me seems like the one that's going to be easiest to buy and pay itself off. Now, who do we want to give this to? That's a whole different ball of wax. So he's got an organization capacity of 7. And total orgs allowed is how many all of our counselors can have together at this point in time. He's only got 5. And administration, if I remember, is the trait that allows for you to have more organizations. So we're going to give this to our tech mogul. And now you should have noticed that we should have an increase in income coming right off the bat thanks to this org. And then lastly, we want to spend our influence to get another cheap recruit here. You're going to notice that some of these are 60, we can't afford them, and some of them are 30 that we can afford. So there's 4 guys we can choose from that we can afford. Which of these 4 guys are we going to want the most? That's going to be really based off of what they can do in their missions. This guy has the ability to do public campaign. It's a mission I really need people to be able to do at this juncture. I'm definitely interested in public campaign. However, he only has 2 persuasion, which means he's not very good at that mission. So while he has public campaign, he's not very good at it. However, he's prosperous, which means he's going to generate 3 extra income for us. He's connected, which means he's going to generate 3 extra influence. Enemy estate faces imprisonment or execution in his or her home nation, cannot perform missions in his home nations, so he is from the Ivory Coast. Probably not big of a deal. It doesn't sound like a country we're going to be very interested in taking anyway. And then furtive, secretive, and often negative personality, +3 espionage, apparently loyal, set to 2, -1 persuasion, -1 administration, prohibited missions, inspire. Right, not horrible. However, we have another American here. He has control nation, but he doesn't have that one ability we really want. Here we have control nation and public campaign. Both of the abilities I want. He's got higher persuasion. This guy is able to basically do what I need him to do. He's from India, so India is a fairly highly populated country that wouldn't be horrible to control. However, it takes a lot of effort to lock down India. And depending on how things work out, that could be worthwhile, might not be worthwhile. However, not horrible. Government, affluent, makes a good living, monthly income 1, demagogue, an influential rabble-rouser who plays to the basest instincts of the public, monthly income 5, inspiration -6 to espionage when being detected by other counselors, +3 persuasion in nations where there is 6 or less research, -2 persuasion in nations where there is more than 9 research, +3 persuasion in nations with 4 or less. I forget what that symbol is. Okay, so it sounds like this guy is really good at influencing nations that are not very high tech. I think we might want him. And who's the last guy? Crackdown, control, turn counselor, public. Okay, he's got public campaign. He's got 7 persuasion. That's not horrible. He's got the ability to crack down, which is a pretty good thing. He's got a whole lot of missions that he can do here. Undercover. This person's public persona conceals someone who is able to infiltrate enemy space installations without fear, can access enemy Tier 1 HABs and ships, +1 espionage when being detected by other counselors. Loss averse, haunted by defeat, suffers -1 loyalty for every crewed, non-automated HAB belonging to the faction that is destroyed. Larger HABs will cause greater loss. Low profile, skilled at evading detection, +2 to espionage. Sociopath, someone skilled at managing others in sole pursuit of his or her own satisfaction. +1 persuasion, -3 loyalty. So I don't like the loyalty. He's a combination persuader espionage dude, which isn't horrible. I think I like Rashid more though. He's got better loyalty, better admin. And I can target him to countries that he'll be most effective on with this interesting set of skills that he has. He's good at certain countries. So we're going to go ahead and recruit him. Now then, so we have so far assigned one of our counselors. Basically, that's the meat and potatoes of this game, is assigning these counselors jobs and then basically unpausing the game until they finish their jobs. We will we're going to go to nations, and there's going to be nations that already like us. So Turkmenistan already likes us, Eritrea, Afghanistan, South Yemen, Chad, Sudan, Rwanda, Syria, Libya, Honduras, South Korea, interesting, Portugal. Problem with a lot of these nations is they're not that great. Though South Korea is an interesting nation, actually. But we would be in a bit of a foot race with the Academy here. Cohesion. And where is your... Okay, we've got an education of 8.65 in South Korea, which is below 9, but not very much. And a cohesion of 4, which I don't think our new character is going to be able to take advantage of very well. So South Korea starts with a little bit of boost. It's a country that generates a fair amount of research. It's a pretty decent country. I don't really want to go after Europe. Malaysia's interesting. Malaysia has a pretty high population. Alright, so yeah, I think we gotta concentrate on South Korea here. 12% success, not very good. 52% success to campaign with this counselor. What about
Acknowledged.
you? %89 success. That's a bit better.
Making our case. Standing by for orders.
I think we'll have them both campaign. We're putting minimal money into this.
We must persuade the people.
Now, as you can see, we have little icons over here next to our counselors. That basically says that all 3 of our counselors have been assigned an assignment. So at this stage in the game, we can hit the big confirm assignment button. Is that was all we needed to do. This was basically turn 1 in a game that's kind of a hybrid between being turn focused and real time. But you'll see that as we go on. So we've hit that. Now we have to unpause, which I gotta remember how to do that. And we're gonna want to speed up. I can remember how. There we go. So things are going to go by fairly quickly until we get something like this. Select management team. We may now recruit our faction's management team. As we stand up initiative operations, we are selecting our internal management team to help oversee our affairs. While we are gathering personnel from a variety of disciplines, at your direction we will emphasize a particular specialty. So, are we most interested in lobbyists and influencers? This will unlock select advisory team triggers the following effects. The initiative monthly influence income increases by 3. So this mana pool here will go up and will allow us more of this mana to choose from. Scientists and engineers. The initiative's monthly research income is increased by 15, so we'll get more research faster. Officers and operators gain 50 of this mana just straight away. Financiers and investors. Events unlocked. Select advisory team triggers the following effects. The initiative's monthly money income increased by 10. So, more money. 10 per monthly. So, 10 more money a month, or 3 influence, or a flat 50 of this, or 15 more income a month. Our monthly income is currently 32, so 15 would make it 47, so it would be a fairly significant monthly increase. Of the two, I'm most tempted between the influence and the research. The money itself, 10 extra income a month, can easily be gotten through an organization that you can purchase or come across. I think we're going to go with influence, because I think it most fits with who the initiative is. We're the guys behind the scenes pulling the strings, right? We need to have high influence, so we're going to go with that.
The people will come to our side.
Okay, the public campaign mission success. I have increased popular support for the initiative in South Korea. Our public support here has changed by 3%. It now stands at 33% from, I guess, it used to be at 30. Councillor Abir Rashid's mission public campaign targeting South Korea's location of Seoul was a success. So we can either continue, repeat mission, close, repeat and continue, take me there, continue permanent assignment. We will repeat and continue. One humanity. The growing realization that we are not the sole sapient species in the universe is causing many to see that they're fellow humans in a new light, leading to hopes that we can overcome our capacity for strife to address the alien arrival as one people. Let us try to set aside our differences and go forward together.
We are winning their hearts and minds.
Okay, I have increased popular support for the initiative in South Korea. Our public support here has changed by 1. It now stands at 35%. Councillor Olavo Basilo missions is going to repeat and continue. UN Security Council meets. The UN Security Council has met to discuss the alien arrival. Unfortunately, the hoped for show of international unity did not materialize, with China, Russia, and the United States accusing each other of hiding knowledge about the alien crash and preventing full access to the site. We have an opportunity to shape events to our advantage, even make our case directly to the nations of the world. However, with the eyes of the world on these meetings, our counselors' risk of exposure to our enemies is extremely high. So we can choose to remain in the shadows. We'll gain 30 of this operations mana. We can quietly steer support to the initiative, which will gain us 25 influence and 15 of the operations mana, which would then trigger, grant a small public opinion boost for the initiative around the world. So all countries would like the initiative a little bit more, meaning this thing that we're doing right now to gin up public support in South Korea, we would have to do a little bit less of that in other nations, because other nations would already have a slightly higher opinion of us. Or information about the initiative will be exposed to our enemies. So the other factions will have an easier opportunity to kind of pinpoint what we're doing. So we're exposing ourselves a little bit to get this. Or deliver our manifest to the world, which straight up gets us 50 more influence. It grants a public opinion boost for the initiative around the world, probably a larger public opinion boost than the quiet way that we went about it here. That one says a small public opinion boost. This one just straight up says a public opinion boost. And a great deal of information about the initiative will be exposed to our enemies. I think we want to pull the strings to an extent. At the same time, I don't think we want to completely expose ourselves, so I think we're going to go with the quietly support the initiative.
It has always been true that we must leave the cradle if our species is to survive. If these aliens are indeed hostile, the time to go is now.
Okay, we've met the lieutenant of Project Exodus. This is the Project Exodus director, Khalid al-Ashkar. Actually, I should correct what I'm saying there. He's not the lieutenant. He's the actual director. Like, I'm the director of the initiative. He is the director of Project Exodus. But if I was playing Project Exodus, he would be my lieutenant, and he would be the outward-looking face of the faction. Well, I would be the actual director if I was playing Project Exodus. So that's how you can think of these guys. So obviously these guys have chosen to expose themselves with that last little thing, so now we know of them.
Here's what we found.
Investigate alien activity, mission complete. I've learned some useful information from my investigation of the UFO crashdown site in Iran. We received a small bonus to our xenology research going forward. Counselor Steve Vivez, mission investigate alien activity, location Mashhad, Iran.
We're
Cleaning
not in front
things
of this
up.
for now.
Okay. We have successfully gathered some samples from the cache site and are ready to investigate further. Numerous other groups are attempting to take control of the site in the meantime. Heavy competition seems likely. We have gained the following resources: 20 influence and 20 research. Alright, let's view objectives. Okay, when it becomes available. Our research and development team reports that we are now able to undertake the Alien Signatures project. Fulfills objective research alien signatures, allows faction to detect alien abductions on Earth. What are we doing again? Is it down here? Alien Signatures Project. That's what we need to do. Okay. These aren't projects. This is just normal research. We are now able to undertake Oh wait, change project. Is this what? Yeah, here we are. Right, we're going to focus a little more of our efforts into this since it's our objective, and that means that less of our research is going to go into these. Alright, and we should be able to unpause. Why does it feel like you guys are not doing anything?
Wrapping up here.
Prepping for next mission.
Wrapping up here.
I'm pretty sure okay, confirm assignment. So now we can re-task these guys again. And we're going to keep working on South Korea. Steve is able to do a control nation mission. Stabilize nation. Surveil location, go to ground, contact. %24 is not very high. How much influence are we spending here to pull this off? Oh, we're not spending any influence actually. Alright, well, I'll take a 1 in 4 shot at pulling it off by not spending it. Well, maybe we should spend some influence. No, we'll be cheap. 1 in 4 shot. not spending anything.
Establishing control.
And these guys already have their old assignments reset to go. So if we confirm assignment, we're off and running.
We're winning their hearts and minds.
Okay, we've increased the popular support for the initiative in South Korea. Our public support has changed by 5% and now stands at 39%. Repeat and continue.
Public sentiment is increasingly with us.
Now it's up to 42%. Repeat and continue.
We failed to take control.
So we failed. We had a 36% chance because we increased our popularity in here enough that it changed from 24% up to 36%. But we'll repeat and continue again. Okay, now we can either decide to change the orders we were giving our counselors at this point, sending them off to do different things, or we can just stick with what we were planning to stick with and just hit the confirm assignment and unpause.
We've moved the needle.
Okay, so popular support for the initiative has increased in South Korea and now stands at 45%.
The people will come to our side.
Okay, it's now up to 47%. Crap. We have a servant problem in South
We've
Korea.
gained significant support.
We have 1 of 4 control points. The servants have 1 of 4 control points. This is a problem. How much would it cost to get us another counselor? What can you do for us? Defend interest, advise, reallocation. Okay, purge is espionage related. And crackdown makes it easier to purge. And that's investigation related. So I'm looking for someone who can both do Purge and Crackdown, which this guy's capable of that. However, you don't necessarily want a counselor that is useless when there's nothing to Purge or Crackdown. So when I look at his other missions, defend interest, advise. Okay, he wouldn't be completely useless. He'd be able to advise. He can protect target. Okay. He seems like the best guy for the job. I'm gonna recruit him. So you kind of need a group of people who are capable of doing slightly different goals to accomplish the overall job at hand. So now that I
Standing
have
by.
him, we've got a 0% chance to purge. And if we put any influence into it, not a very high. Okay, Crackdown. Yeah, we're gonna try to do a cheap crackdown on it.
Targeting their center of power.
And we're gonna confirm and get things underway.
Public opinion is moving in our direction.
We've moved the needle.
Target lost.
We failed on the crackdown.
We're taking over.
Right, we have 2 of the control points for the country.
The Surat al-Baqarah teaches that in the creation of heaven and earth, a wise people may find the signs of Allah. Let us heed those words and join together as we take our search into the stars. Director Khalid al-Ashgar, from his khutbah at the first conclave of Muslim astrophysicists.
So basically what this is all about, Science Section Report, the Global Research Completed Mission to Space. So all of the different factions have kind of cooperated, if you will, to accomplish this research. But the Exodus, this faction here, put in the most effort. So they're credited with accomplishing this research because they did the largest chunk of it. As you can see, this particular Skywatch one is currently being won by who are these guys again? This is the science faction, I think. But yeah, so we're gonna leave the settings as they are. Confirm assignments. Sure.
Public sentiment is increasingly with us.
Public opinion is moving in our direction.
We lost their trail.
We had a 43% chance that time to crack down, but we failed.
The trick is not to look directly at what you're trying to see. Offset your focal point somewhere to the side.
Oh, the
of where you
Protectorate,
think
not
you
the
notice
science guys.
movement. At night, the center of your vision doesn't work as well as during the...
Project available. We may now appoint our faction's chief advisors. With our management team on board, we may now recruit our core group of advisors to assist our interactions and oversight with nations aligned with our cause. Focus on economic development. National investment points we direct to the economy's priority are increased by 10%. I'll show you what those are here shortly. Hire some steely-eyed missile women and men. National investment points we direct to spaceflight programs priority are increased by 5%. National investment points we direct to boost priority are increased by 5%. Call in the generals. National investment points we direct to military priority increased by 5%. National investment points we direct to build army priority increased by 5%. Emphasize international aid. Investment points for welfare and knowledge are increased. I'll be honest, we're going after South Korea for a combination of their research capacity, and they have actually a fairly capable military too. But honestly, we're going after them more for their knowledge capacity than anything. However, they're not going to be our only country. We're eventually going to branch out and control more countries than just South Korea. So having large economic development in the countries will get us more money. Honestly, I think it's the research that's going to be most important for us. We're going to go here. Project to complete alien signatures. We have completed the alien signatures project. There is no doubt extraterrestrial life has touched down on Earth. The many questions we have regarding its origin, its species, and its intent will have to wait. All that matters now is finding it. By cross-referencing reports of unusual events in the vicinity of the landing site with similar data from our global intelligence network, we have developed a tracking system able to reliably identify disappearances most likely resulting from alien activity. Fulfills objective research alien signatures, allows faction to detect alien abductions on Earth.
We've analyzed the samples.
Okay, we've completed the research alien signature objective. Satellite footage and interviews of local personnel have confirmed that at least one of the ship's crew survived the crash and disappeared into the surrounding wilderness. Our research of the debris has confirmed that the ship was not assembled on Earth. Putting these two things together leads us to one inescapable conclusion: an alien is at large upon the planet. A statement that sounds more appropriate for popular entertainment than for the agenda for the World Economic Council. Further investigation has turned up reports of disappearances in nearby settlements. This raises troubling questions. What are the aliens doing here? And, given that we have only now detected their presence, how long have they been acting while we have been unaware? Okay, so our new objectives: investigate alien abductions, research alien origin, and salvage alien technology. Conduct surveil location missions in regions near an alien crash site. If abductions are detected, send a counselor, or investigate alien activity mission at that location. Deep System Skywatch, which will be soon. So for now, we're just gonna close and move on. What do you mean, beep beep? Require further samples of... Don't understand. What's going on? Oh, once we select a new project. Alright, we can't select what the focus is unless we win the... Alright, we're gonna attempt to compete on this one. We should now be able to unpause. Okay.
Our presence is growing.
Control nation mission success. I have gained control point for the initiative in South Korea. We have 3 of the 4 control points here. Executive power over this nation now belongs to the initiative. Counselor Steve. Viviz, mission control point, target South Korean location, so South Korea.
Prepping for the next mission.
Alright, I was going to show you guys what those points means, which is here somewhere. Yeah. So we can put various different points into various different sections of South Korea's budget, if you will. So I can do something a little more balanced. It seems that the servants are fully boosting into mission control. So if we follow their lead, we will put a large amount of capacity into mission control, which should affect this number here. Build Navy. Yeah, I'm not finding that all that important right now. We have nothing in welfare. Alright, army under initiative control. The first army of South Korea is now under the control of the initiative. So that's that right there. So we have an actual army unit that we can now send around and do things with. And for the most part, South Korea is under our control with the exception of this annoying little section here controlled by the servants, which is kind of a minor little hindrance at this point. But it's fine. We'll deal with it in the long run. Oh, confirm assignments. Alright, we need new jobs for these guys, actually.
At your service.
2% on purge.
Going after their people.
Reporting in.
What's the op? We'll make our appeal.
Alright,
Acknowledged.
we're going to have the one guy continue to do public campaigning, because the higher this is, the harder it is for an enemy faction to move into our territory and try to dislodge us. So right now we're attempting to do the crack on this control point. It's easier for us to do because we have a lot of control in this country. If we had a smaller piece of the pie here, it would be harder for us to do. So the higher this pie is in our favor, the harder it is for an enemy faction to come into this country and dislodge us. So we're going to want to keep this as high as possible. So that's why we're going to continue to have him raising public opinion. We need to do something with Steve here. What is Steve capable of doing? He can control nation, he can defend interest, he can advise, stabilize a nation, he can surveil a location. Okay, we do need to do that one mission where we're attempting to I don't know if doing a surveil mission here where the spaceship had crash landed before would be useful. I think we need a fresh crash, if you will, a fresh abduction, fresh place to investigate. We don't have any places like that right now. So I will just have him we're not really generating the influence to justify doing a defend. We just don't have the influence to be wasting on a defend interest campaign at this point. We're just going to surveil.
Surveilling target area.
South Korea. We might find that we might find some servant guys operating here, which would allow us to go after them.
Setting a watch.
I'm searching for enemies in Seoul. Counselor Steve. Yes.
We are winning their hearts and minds.
That stands at 62%. Thought we were higher than that.
We have neutralized their key people.
Crackdown complete.
Okay, now that we've cracked it down, we can purge it. Once we purge it, we can then go in and take control of it for ourselves. That's a good reminder. We might want to invest in some organizations. So, to that regard, let's look at that. Monthly income of 2, including 1 engineering research. Monthly income of 10 gets us multiple researches. Costs less. This Wolfhound Forge core seems pretty solid. These guys are a little expensive for what they do. We're gonna ignore them for now.
I'm here.
Right, who's the best at purging? 34%,
Ready.
20%. I think we'll probably send you both.
What's the op?
Well, we could throw some influence behind you to increase your chance of pulling it off. Alright, we'll throw 2 influence behind
We're
him,
taking power.
Ready for my mission.
and we'll send you to purge
Terminating the opposition.
as well.
They are here to cleanse our sick world. The aliens are our saviors, and all who oppose them are enemies of the future.
So we've encountered the servants. This group has determined the aliens are of divine origin and has declared itself their heralds and defenders.
On Overwatch.
We hold no sway in their minds.
Our enemies are still in control.
This was the guy with the best chance at pulling it off.
Our people have taken control.
Oh, the guy with the less chance pulled it off. Good job.
At your service. We'll bring this nation to our side.
Where do you need me? we'll make our appeal.
Reporting in.
I will keep them safe.
So we're going to have him do a protect target mission here, and he's essentially going to just be protecting all these other counselors that are doing their thing in this region from being attacked by other people. It says we already control this area. Interesting. Okay, what's the welfare asterisk about?
Our only hope is to understand what the aliens want with us and determine how to satisfy them without losing our independence.
Defending the VIP.
We've moved the needle.
Public sentiment is increasingly with us.
Our supporters are in place.
I think I want to unify the Korean peninsula here. I think my next goal is to kick the protectorate out of North Korea. So in order to do that, I'm going to have to increase my public opinion of me in North Korea. And then I'm going to have to crack down and purge that control point so that we can take control of it. But once I do, I will gain control of yet another army here in North Korea. And that'll get me 2 armies under my control for a very relatively small amount of control points being used. So I have 181 control points right now that I can control at a maximum situation, and I'm currently using 64 of that. So 64 of that is here. North Korea itself is a rather small amount compared to South Korea. South Korea has got a much larger economy, so it's worth a lot more control points than North Korea. But between the two of them, I'll have 2 armies. And then I might expand to Japan? I don't know where I'm going to go after I unify Korea. Maybe I'll go down to New Zealand and Australia. Japan could be interesting though too. If I can just kind of unify the area, I suppose. China is too big of a monster to try to control. But yeah, that's where we are. So I think this is a good place to wrap up episode 1. Hopefully I've presented the game so far in such a way that it's made the game easier for you to understand if you're watching me for the purposes of trying to learn how to play the game yourself. And hopefully haven't made this game completely boring to watch either. Maybe you're still interested in this from an entertainment factor. Though I can understand where a game like this, that's kind of a spreadsheet-oriented game, can be a little hard to watch for entertainment purposes. And then I'm a little bit dry. I admit that. So mainly I think most of my viewers are going to be watching me to learn. And hopefully I did an okay job of teaching you. Other than that, yeah, this is my content. I'm James Johnson, aka Sulfurblade. Hopefully you're enjoying it. If so, please smash that like button, consider subscribing, and until the next time, all, peace.